here for me, but he's over here for you guys. This is Zach Patton. He is a intern with Bussin with the Boys. He works for UT women's basketball, and you also work for Tommy Joe Martins in NASCAR, correct?
Yes, I do.
That's pretty cool.
Dude, that's
All right,
sick.
so
That's sick.
we've got a list of questions for you today, right
Oh,
here.
good. I'm really glad to be here. I appreciate y'all sending me an invite to be on your podcast or however
Hey.
y'all do it. So I'm glad to be here, and I hope that I'm interesting enough to your guests and whatnot. So
Oh yeah.
Nah,
Well, we're really
I
glad
think
to
we're
have
all
you.
more
Joe.
excited that you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, really glad to have you.
So the first question I've got up for you is what is your role with Tommy Joe Martins in NASCAR? Like what do you do with him?
So I picked up the gig with Tommy Joe Martins and Martins Motorsports back in January, right before the season was starting up. And my original role was to be a PR slash PR slash creative content and whatnot. So their understanding was that I got hired, kind of got on in January. Well, that's still mid basketball season, so basketball is my main priority out of all my jobs. It comes before the boys. It comes before the NASCAR gig. Well, I told him I was like after basketball season's over, like one of the things they wanted us to do is to come to the track on the weekends, which is important to gather content and stuff like that. Since that's kind of my PR plus creative content, I need to be there at the track. So that starting out, I was kind of doing PR stuff. You can do that all from home. So I was doing it all from home. And then the season kind of started up in February. That's when they started racing. And that's, of course, basketball is still going on. I mean, that's the stretch of the season right there. So you're getting ready to go into postseason. Those are conference games that matters. So I wasn't able to go to the races. And literally the first race that I was going to go to was Atlanta. It was in March, and that's when COVID hit. And literally they were at the track ready to race the next day, but they canceled it the day before. Like there was a truck race it was a Friday. I was planning on going down Saturday morning. There's going to be a truck race Friday. Well, I mean, everyone's already there, but they straight up canceled it. So that was going to be my first race to go to. And then all that happened. So I've still yet to get to go to any of the races because they have strict limitations on who can be at the track. We have a limited crew, just the pit crew guys, the mechanics, the driver, and not even both our owners can go. I don't think either of them has went to a race since COVID. So NASCAR's being really strict on returning to action. I mean, they've been definitely a pioneer in getting back into things, and they've had some tough restrictions on who can be there and who can't.
I think they've done pretty good with.
Yeah, I think they've done pretty good, and it's like it's kind of like baseball. It's like they can't really stay in one location. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they've had to have I guess that's probably one of the reasons why they've had to have such high restrictions.
But I like how they've had multiple races at the same track. I think that's
I like that too. Yeah.
But also, I forgot I failed to mention this and all that. After kind of starting out after the first few weeks, I'm interested in operation side of things. So like that's everything besides the actual racing part, like just like logistics and things like that. So I asked Tommy, I was like, hey, I'm interested in this because I help with that on the basketball side of things too, is operation. I was like, hey, I'm kind of interested in this. How can I help you? So also what I do is I help with their operations side of things. So each week I submit our roster to NASCAR. NASCAR's got to have a roster of who all's coming to the track. So I submit that every week. Our paint schemes, they have to be submitted. So NASCAR knows what paint scheme we're running because they release that information on who's your sponsor and then who's your crew chief and all that stuff to the general public. I have to have that in 5 days before each race because they start sending things out about 4 days beforehand. So I've learned a lot when it comes to like that side of things, like what a NASCAR budget looks like, how much it takes to run a team, how much it takes to operate on a race weekend. So that's all been really super interesting. So
that does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So once you actually finally get to start going to the track, what track are you most excited to go to?
I think from a kind of being on inside X, I think Talladega, really and truthfully, I've personally been to Talladega,
Yeah, I
Daytona,
have
and
too.
Bristol for like I guess for the fan purposes, but I've not been infield or Talladega, and I've heard some legendary stories from Talladega Boulevard and stuff like that.
That's
So
pretty
I,
cool.
Yeah.
I'll be really excited just to get anywhere and really kind of see
Yeah.
what goes on behind the scenes. Because I went to Daytona a few years ago, 4th of July weekend, because they used to do that race on 4th of July, and I
Yeah.
had like the infield passes, but they wasn't for like the garage area and stuff.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to see you kind of got to see some things, but you didn't. So I'll be excited to really kind of get my hands and just kind of see how
Yeah.
things go for a race and whatnot. So, but probably Talladega. It's a wild card race, and I mean that for just about anybody can win a Talladega race. So even
Yeah,
like
man.
a smaller team,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
about us. Like Martin's Motors, like it's a smaller funded team. You're not like a Hendrick Motorsport team that run 4 cars and have a big budget. So those are tracks that we could have better success at.
So I'm gonna add on to that question. What's the coolest basketball arena you've been to with UT women's basketball?
The coolest basketball. I'm slightly biased, but I will say Thompson Bowling Arena is always just because that's where I'm from. But away wise, I'm not gonna lie. We went to so we played. We used to be big rivals with UConn, and we started that series back up this year. And that was I don't know if it was Gamble Pavilion we was in. I think that may be the name of it. So they play in 2 different arenas. So for their bigger games, they play in the arena that we played in, and that's like 40 minutes away from campus. But they've got an arena that's on campus, and we played in the one that was 40 minutes away because it was such a big game.
Yeah.
They needed the stands and whatnot. So that was a cool arena. Notre Dame's arena was really cool. I looked forward to going for. I looked so long, like I looked forward for so long to getting that arena just because it's Notre Dame. The campus was super pretty. It's like snowed on us while we was there. Texas's Texas, the Longhorns. Their basketball arena is pretty darn cool. It's old. They're actually about to tear it down. That's where we won our first national championship at back in the late '80s, and then probably my next coolest one would probably be Oklahoma State. So we played there I think 2 years ago, and their gym is built around their old gym. So the actual walls of the outer walls of the old gym's like inside the bigger gym now, and then that gym is literally butted up next to their football arena.
Yeah,
so like
I've seen
literally
that. It's
walk
pretty
out
cool.
of our you walk out of our locker room and you was there in the football stadium. So those are probably some of the coolest arenas that I've been to, and I'm glad you asked that because I always look forward to going to all the different arenas and whatnot.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, well, one of my question is for the women's basketball. Like, what do you do? Like, what all do you do with them as far as like, and how long? Also, how long have you been working there? Too like how long have you been working with them?
Yeah, so I've been with so I started back in high school doing a lot of this stuff with like our basketball teams and whatnot, and luckily enough that our women's coach knew Coach Warlick at the time, and he made a call to her and got me on up there. So I started when I was a freshman, so I've been doing this for 3 years now. But my role is my technical title is a video assistant, but I do a lot of different things. You can almost call me a jack of all trades. I don't do what necessarily the normal managers do. I don't do laundry and things like that, but I do a lot of scouting footage. So like so opponent footage, I cut that up and give it out to our coaches. Like I film our practices and I film our games, and I cut our games up for like offense, defensive clips. So as it's happening, I'm pushing different keys on my laptop while it's recording. So like I may press 1 for offense, and then when the offensive set's done, I hit 1 to end it, and then they can go back after the game. If they just want to look at our offensive sets, they can click that organizer and it'll show them all of our offensive clips. Or I've got keys for individual players too. So whenever they have the ball or whenever they shoot, I hit a certain key and it records that moment in the video file, and then they can go back and look at all the player shots. So basically it's just really it just speeds the process up for coaches getting film back and looking at them. And our players have access to that too, so they can go back and look at what happens. Also do a lot of recruiting stuff. I make a lot of recruiting material to send out to recruits, plus stuff while they are when they come for recruiting visits and things like that. I make things that put in their hotel rooms. I make like lanyards with their schedule on it, so they when they're walking around, we're showing them around. They can look at they have their schedule. Um, I do a bunch of different things with that. I'm kind of more the blue collar person around the office, so I can do a lot of the more handier stuff with my hands too. So that's nice. So, but yeah, I do a lot of mainly focused around video, but I do a lot of stuff, and I also help with our operations side of the stuff too. When it comes to our, we have a thing on our phones and stuff. It's called Teamwork, so our players can see where they're supposed to be when. I help with things like that and whatnot. So I help all the way around, and I really enjoy it. I mean, it's definitely made my college experience.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah,
that was one of the reasons why
that's
I kind of wanted to go into video is because going to all the
yeah.
other different teams' stadiums and seeing all the other teams and stuff like that, and then also working with the players and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one of the things I want to do like out of college and out of high school is sports management. And
Yeah,
most of the colleges I've looked at, they've like I've been there and I've talked to them, and they most of them is like they've been like, yeah, you'll get really good opportunities to do stuff like that, with helping with like different, like if you're like a facility, if you can want to work with facilities, you can tear down, set up games, and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool. And yeah, like getting to travel to different stadiums with the teams and helping out. So I always thought
yeah.
that was pretty cool. That side of the
Tennessee's got a really good sports management program, and all of them, they can. I mean, you can always find stuff. Our football recruiting is always looking for people. The video people over there have tried to get me to come over there before, but I just won't do it because I
yeah.
enjoy women's basketball too much. But yeah, I most of all of our managers and stuff are sports management. I'm a journalism and electronic media major, but a lot of our managers and stuff are sports management because I mean you get such hands-on experience. But you
Yeah.
always have to work with a team. Like I said, you can do event management, and that's like setting up and taking down after games and whatnot. And I think they have a cool job too. And I mean, I know
Yeah.
they hire grad assistants and pay for the masters to basically run a facility. So
Oh, that's pretty
there's a
cool.
grad assistant over Thompson Bowling Arena that he's right under the main person to do a lot of that stuff. So he's the one, the grad assistant. He's the one that's like feet on the ground doing a lot of that stuff, telling other people kind of like, hey, telling the other like students like, hey, do this, do that. So there's a lot of opportunity in sports. It's like the thing about working in sports, like it's not like normal hours. Like games are at night and things like
Yeah.
that. So like you can't be prepared for the normal 9 to 5 thing, but the enjoyment of sports is just what makes like working in sports like worth it,
Yeah.
worth the long hours, worth the odd
Yeah.
hours. Like there's times it's cool like traveling to other like college arenas, but like we play on Thursdays and Sundays, so a lot of time our Thursday night games are at like 8 o'clock. So like 7 to 8 o'clock. So that means games normally last 2 and 2.5 hours. Then we gotta wait for everyone to change, get showered up, clean, then hop on a bus, and hop on a plane, then fly back to Knoxville. By that time, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Then a lot of times, like I have
Yeah.
8 a.m.s because we have practice in the afternoon. So it's a grind. Like if you want to work in sports, it's a grind. But like I said, it's
Yeah,
worth
it
it.
really
So
is.
that's that's
Yeah.
kind of my advice to y'all. Like if y'all do want to work in sports or have a career in sports, like just be ready for an absolute grind, especially getting through college and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing is like I've always thought, yeah, like everyone's said, like, you're gonna work long hours. They're not really like 9 to 5 or stuff like that. Like everyone's really said that, and like it's like for me, I enjoy sports too much to like care about not working a normal like schedule. That's one of the reasons why I thought about sports management.
So moving on with this, so what is your end goal? Like, what sports
I was
team do
about to
you want to
ask
work
that.
for most?
Oh, good one.
Um, you know, I've got such a diverse, like, kind of like with everything I'm doing right now, like working under a sports team, working with Bussin and the boys, working with NASCAR. Like, I've got such a diverse, I guess, whenever I get done, I'm going to have a very diverse, like, portfolio of what I have done. So my direction, I have a broad look at what direction I can go, but I think as of right now, I think I want to go into operations, which is it's not video stuff, but I would like to get in operations. So I mean, that's basically
Yeah.
like I said, everything. That's just like traveling, budgeting, things like that, getting the team to and from places, getting coaches to and from places. I think that's what I want to do, and I think I've thought about it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know really what I want to do, but I think overall, I think my end goal, if I do work in operations, I love basketball and I want to work in basketball operations, but I think end goal wise, I may want to do like NFL operations. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lot more moving parts. You got to think basketball operations, you're only dealing with, we normally have a travel party of like 30 to 40, but when you go to a football team, you've got 100 to 150 to 200 people that you are in charge of. So definitely
Yeah.
it stands up, but you, of course, with more responsibility, you make a little bit more money. So I know a little bit of how like NFL operations works, and it's a lot. So I mean, I think overall that may be an end goal to reach it to the pinnacle. But you never know. I may end up with a college. I mean, a college team wouldn't be bad either. But
Yeah.
I think NFL would be cool. So that you could say for right now, I feel like that's my end goal when it comes to everything I'm doing right now. But you never know. I may get out of college and another opportunity rises and I go a different direction. So it just depends. But I think right now that's
Yeah.
my overall end goal.
Pretty cool. So you were telling me that you do drag racing on the weekends with your uncle. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I my uncle does IHRA mm, drag racing basically, and we on the weekends a lot of times we go around the South like Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, and things like that, and race kind of big money races. Like I think the last race we went to was I think it's three $10,000 races, so they'll have $10,000 race on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now it varies. The weekend before we was at like a $25,000 race. So, but we do that. It's kind of a hobby thing. But here recently, he's getting me some. He's putting me into the card. He's trying to get me prepared to do some of these races because he's getting a little bit older now, and so I think he's ready to kind of kick back and try to watch me win some races, and hopefully I'll do as good. So I mean, we've got a really good car. It's consistent when it comes to drag racing. It's not always being the kind of racing way. It's bracket racing, but it's drag racing. So you're racing yourself to an extent.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about being the fastest, but it's being the most consistent when you're timing and getting off the tree. So I'm working on that right now. Probably we'll hit the track this weekend and I'll get some more seat time. We've got $1 million race in October down in Memphis, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
$1 million
Oh,
winner. So
wow.
um, if I am up to par by then, I'm going to do that race, and if not, he's going to hop in and he's going to do that race. But I mean, it'd be I'm not gonna lie, it'd be
Yeah.
nice to win $1 million.
It definitely would.
So,
Is
but
it
yeah,
like, yeah,
it's fun. I really enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoy racing and things like that. So, and it's nice. I work. I do a lot of work behind the computer. So when I can, if I normally grind through the week. So for the weekends and things like that, I can sit back and enjoy that stuff. So it's nice to get out from behind the computer screen and do something different.
yeah,
Yeah.
but what's it like inside the car? I mean, I know drag racing's pretty
So
scary.
I was nervous. I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. Luckily, I went back. This is gonna sound so video like me, but I went back through my old hard drive and found a video where I stuck a GoPro in his car and like just like sitting there watching, like studying kind of like what he did to like burn out and you got to hit some buttons and things like that, and
Yeah.
basically the process going to get the car ready to actually take off from the tree. So I was literally sitting there studying footage, as silly as that sounds. But when it was time to do it, it was just kind of like a do it thing. Like, and I was when it was about to go, I was like, oh, no, I don't like I have no clue what I'm going to expect, and it took off, and like I was just like holding on, and I mean it went straight, and like I mean I could tell like I was moving. So, but after
Yeah.
the second and third time, like it
Yeah.
got just a little bit, I like it did things slowed down a little bit, just like in my mind, I guess, and so it's cool. It's like I said, I've been going with my uncle for I think this is my fifth year going with him. He's been doing it for like 30 years, but
Oh,
I started going with him about 5 years ago, and it's like finally I've been like going with him and learning everything and like watching him, and it's 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 kind of all paid off. Just
Yeah.
your work's paid off. So because I mean when we go to the track, I mean I have responsibilities when it comes to like getting the car ready and things like that for them and whatnot. So it's nice to see some of your work paid off. It's not all just like cutting up and giggling, I guess. But I mean I enjoy myself. It's fun.
It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it
So
sounds
yeah, I saw that you
pretty
visited
legit.
the ESPN headquarters in Connecticut a couple months ago. What
Oh
was
yeah,
that
I did
like?
see that.
Yeah, so part of the whole Yukon rivalry thing, we went
Oh
up
yeah,
like
I
two
guess that
days
makes sense.
early, and we ESPN Studios is up there, so we did that, and then we did the Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's cool.
Both were really cool tours. ESPN is gigantic, and
Yeah, I
they've got some
bet.
incredible studios. We got to go on like the Sports Center studio and whatnot,
Hmm.
and just see how they run, and it's crazy. Um, it's just crazy how they all like do. And a cool story that I learned up there, not that y'all might like find cool. So like it's all the way up there in Connecticut. So a lot of studios and things like that are like New York, Los Angeles, but they're like we like being up here in Connecticut because
Yeah.
there's a big mountain that separates Connecticut and New York. So a lot of the interference from New York is blocked out from that mountain. So their satellites can on the ground can clearly get to the satellites without interference from like everything that's coming
Huh.
from New York. There's so much
Oh,
stuff
that's pretty
from
cool.
New York. So
Yeah, that's pretty
fun
cool.
fact
Yeah,
about why
never
they're
thought
up
of
in
that.
Connecticut.
That's this is like weird, but I know that WWE their headquarters are up in like I think Hartford, like in
Yeah,
Connecticut too. They but I think that's more like I think that's where they're all I think that's more of like home like hometown I think.
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's more like that's where they're from, so they just put it there. Also too probably because it's not in a bigger city like that.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably close on. I think WWE's got some stuff like a ring and stuff. They've been doing like shows and stuff from like some
Yeah,
big
yeah, they've
So,
been doing
locations.
Yeah.
from their performance center down in Orlando. It's been pretty. I've been like, I I watch it. Like not. I mean, I watch it and keep up with it. I used to like watch it all the
Yeah.
time as a kid. Then I kind of got off of it, but now, especially over quarantine, it was like one of the only things that was on. So I picked back up. Like I started getting back into it. I mean, it's been pretty enjoyable. I like to watch it. I mean, knowing what you know about it going into it, it kind of makes it a little more fun
mhm.
to watch. But
Yeah,
that's
I
pretty.
used to watch it. I used to watch it when I was younger and like when Triple H was still like actually
Yeah,
wrestling, John Cena,
yeah.
Randy
When he,
Orton, Rey
yeah,
Mysterio, all those guys.
Yeah.
Those
yeah. When
that
all
was
those guys,
that was good. I wish
that was the prime. But
Who's your favorite?
cool.
Triple H was definitely my favorite. And
Oh,
Generation X, they came back. So I guess
Generation
when I
X,
started
yeah,
watching
bro.
it, they wasn't like together. Then they came back together like 2009, 2010. It was just
Yeah,
that was the coolest thing ever.
yeah,
So, but yeah, then it just kind of got too like PG ish.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's the
I
thing.
feel
It's
you
like,
on that one.
yeah, it kind of like I kind of outgrew it, and it kind of got too just like kiddish for me. I don't know, but now, I mean, now it's not really more. I'd say it's. I mean, it's still not like it was. You know what I'm saying? But it's more like it's not as PG. They don't try and keep everything kid friendly now. There's some stuff that like you
Yeah.
know it takes it back to its roots. In the way of it can get really weird. But I mean, I like it. I still like. It's all right.
It's
So we
It's
only
in
got
the
about
fan.
10 minutes left. So I was gonna
Oh
ask,
wow,
yeah.
sweet.
Did you play any sports in high school? Or you went to Lebanon, so
Yeah, so I went to Lebanon High School, and so I never did actually. Even though I was such a big sports person, I never did play any sports. Like I said, I worked more or less with our basketball teams
yeah,
for
yeah.
like 3 years. And cool thing, my senior year for maybe a senior night, I got a physical done and everything, and I actually got to go out there and play. So
That's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
sick. That's
we
sick.
played.
That's sick, dude.
That's
We
pretty cool,
played.
yeah.
We played against a team that I don't know if you've heard of Portland. They're like north of kind of Nashville, and they wasn't any good.
I
No
think I've
offense
heard of
to
him.
them.
Yeah.
I've
But
heard of it.
yeah, I got to go in against that game and
That's sweet.
did all right. So it's fun. My basketball skills are a lot better now since I've started working in college athletics, and we play
Yeah.
manager games. So we a lot of times when we go to different schools and stuff, we'll play their managers. So
That's kind of
I
cool.
Oh,
I
that's pretty
like
fun.
that.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely a pretty cool part about everything. So, but yeah.
So yeah, before we move into our final segment, I'd like to add that we beat you guys by 10 in football this year. So
Cheers.
I think you're right. Y'all did. I am
yeah,
still
Oh,
well.
I was gonna.
Thankfully, I'm still pretty close to all of our coaches and things up there, and I visit a lot of them and talk to a lot of them. And our football team has gotten better. So I did video for our football team. I think for 2 years. I think my sophomore junior year, and I think each year we went 0-10. And
Oh,
Mm.
nice,
it was
nice.
rough. And here's the crazy thing:
Wow.
PWSAA had a Super 32 rule. So if you was one of the top 32 schools in the state, you automatically make it to the playoffs. So for 2 years straight, even though we were 0-10, we made it to the playoffs and had to go to Memphis both years
Oh,
to get our butts kicked.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
and I went to both of them. And after my junior year, I was like, can't do this again. I'm
Yeah,
done.
it's
I'm
0 and
sticking
10.
strictly with
Wow.
basketball because we're winning. We're
Yeah.
winning. Over there.
Well, I mean, I think you guys
Wow.
had, out of all of the stadiums that we went to this year, I think Lebanon was my favorite.
what
'Cause
even
you
is
guys
a
had
Blue
that,
Devil?
Really?
you guys had that big video board. That was pretty cool. I like
See,
that.
that's
And you had
Yeah.
fireworks too, which was
yeah, we did have fireworks. So
Dude,
that's
that
fine.
scared the absolute like. So Parker, did you run flags that game?
No,
Oh yeah.
that
So I
was
think
you.
it was. Yeah, it was just me because like they were missing someone for flag for to run flags, and we were walking out, and next thing I know, Lebanon's coming out of the like Lebanon's running out, and right behind all of us, right behind the football team, right behind everyone there, fireworks go off, and I'm like I about jumped, like I jumped, I definitely did, it was so scary, but yeah,
all right. So I'm gonna
that
move
was
into the
so
final bit where we wanted to ask you a couple questions about what it's like working with Bussin with the boys. So I think the first question we had was, who is the coolest guest that you've gotten to meet working with
oh
them?
yeah too, yeah.
Minus
I'll
Dale
give you
Jr.
two because I'm slightly biased on one. Dell Jr.
Yeah.
was definitely the
Yeah.
coolest because I'm a big Dell Jr. fan, but
Yeah.
um, probably probably the next one would be probably Roman Yossi. He was
That's
Really?
pretty cool. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
so
thinking
that,
cool.
too.
yeah.
He seems
Yeah.
like a pretty
Fred's
good guy.
fan.
Yeah.
But probably the most interesting one, y'all may or may not know him, but Butch Spiriton, he was like episode 3, I think. So he
Yeah,
was
I
the
remember listening
president
to that one.
of the
Yeah.
Nashville Bureau.
Oh yeah.
And he has some
Yeah.
really cool
I
stories
remember that.
about
Yeah.
getting the Preds here, getting the Titans here when the floods hit back in 2010, and
I
just
remember that one.
informative
remember that one,
wise,
yeah.
that was one of the I think one of my most favorite episodes. But guest wise, Dale Jr. Roman Yossi. So we almost went ice skating with Roman Yossi the next day, but the Preds said it was during off season. They said
Dang.
no, you need to be off your feet. You don't need to skate. So.
Dang, dude, that would have been fun.
Luke, you had a question earlier that you were telling me about. You wanted to ask him what it's like seeing Taylor Lewan, because obviously he's a big guy. Luke met him once
Oh,
at
yeah.
a haunted house, and
I met him. I took a picture with him.
because I know
haunted
you're
house,
probably not as big as him, but
Oh no, so
Probably.
Taylor is like 3 times my size. I'm not the biggest, but so cool thing, like Taylor is an absolute like class act guy. I will go to bat for him in like any day. He takes football super serious, but he's also a really cool guy.
Mhm.
So when I did interviewing, Will was the only one there. I was the first one. Will was the only one there, besides the production people that was there too. And Taylor couldn't make it. And about an hour or two after I left, I got a phone call from a weird number, and I answered it. And he's like, "Yo, it's Taylor Wan. I just want to call and apologize that I missed your interview. I just wanted to just call and just say what's up and apologize." And I was like, "I appreciate you for calling things like this." And he's like, "Yeah, we'll have to get like lunch and dinner sometimes like that." And so
yeah, we were
Oof,
wondering.
nice.
and he didn't let me know if like I had the job, so I was like, "Oh, maybe he's just saying that because I didn't get it." Well, about 5 hours later, I got a FaceTime call from that number again. I was like, "Oh no!" Here, I was like, "Okay." And I answered it, and it's Taylor. He's like, we just wanted to call and let you know, like, hey, we're gonna go in a different direction." I was like, "Oh man, it's okay. I completely understand." He's like, "No, I'm just with you. You got the job." I was
That's
so
funny.
hyped. It was cool. So,
Oh,
um,
that's cool.
he's a cool dude. And then literally the first time I actually met him in person, we were sitting kind of in the office, and like this office has like a big clear garage door, And like when he like walked up, like I didn't know he was like walking up because it's kind of like a weird angle, but he literally just like plopped his body up against the garage door and it just shook, and he just like his face was up against it, and I was like, this is right here.
Yeah.
Him and
cool.
Will are both just they're really cool. Like I said, they're like I would go to bat for any one of them if someone said something bad about them because they're really just good people.
All right. Well, I got one last question for you. So how did you find out about the job with Bussin' with the Boys? Because obviously, I had no idea about it before it happened.
So it all went super quick. Like I think I had a friend tag me in a post on Twitter where Will was looking for an intern for what at the time was called the Den podcast. So your name's close to it.
Yeah,
but
we kind of base it off.
We kind of took inspiration. We kind of took inspiration from. I think it was like one of the first episodes of Bussin' with the Boys. Yeah. We kind of took inspiration from that. So yeah.
But it was at the time it was the Den podcast, and I dropped a tweet as like, hey, I just gave like a brief description at that time. I think it was 140 characters, and I was like, DM me if you want more information. I sent my resume. He DM'd me. I sent a resume and things like that. I sent him a paragraph of what all I do, and then he's like, all right, we're like ready for it. We're trying to get off the ground super quick, and this was like I think April-ish, early April. I think within the next 2 days, I was down for an interview, and then later that day, I found out. So it all happened like within a 3-4 day span. Like I went down, interviewed for. I came from college. I took a day off from school, and interviewed for it. And then, like I said, later that day, I found out.
Okay. Well, we were
really cool.
Super pumped to have you on the show today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really.
We're down to less than a minute left, so we'd like to just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for coming on.
To talk to you.
Yeah,
your stories and stuff.
I appreciate you having me on. I know I can talk a lot, so
that's all good.
Hey, no,
it's fine.
Hey, wait, you know what this means? Room for another podcast. We got more stories. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's always plenty more stories to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later, and we'll wrap it up.
Pleasure having you on.
Okay.
Pleasure having you on. Sounds good.